Alright, so sick. Alright, so here we have a 2006 WRX. It's got 260,000 kilometers on it now. And the owner is burning like a liter of oil every tank of gas. Otherwise, like, it runs alright, but likely a ringland issue. So with this car, we're going to be swapping in a single AVCS JDM 205. So I'm just draining out the coolant first, and then first thing I noticed was, whoa, so that's not good. Alright, so yeah, we were worried he might need a clutch, so we wanted to see how it looked, but it's actually already been replaced. And then now we're going to put this motor on the stand and do a leak down test on it, just to kind of see what happened to her. Alright, so she's greasy. We're in number 4 here, so crank away. Oh, she's fucking hanging in there. Right.
Not very good, but
yeah, something.
Yeah, the most we can peaks
90.
at 90.
Yeah. Alright, so now we're into 2.
Okay.
Here you go.
Hold up.
Oh, that a good one.
Not great.
Nope. Alright, so now we're on to the other side. Oh, yee.
This one feels good.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, she's going as hard as you can push it. Okay.
Yeah.
Alright, and then the last one.
Oh, there's your bad one.
Oh.
That was it.
Oh, shit. Yeah, 80% leak. So that's cylinder 1. Big old leak. Exhaust valve burnt. All the air's coming out the turbo.
Yeah. Sounds cool.
Yeah. And you know you're fucked when you go all the way around and it doesn't move.
Yeah.
Alright, so now we're getting into some of the nitty gritty. So this is off the USDM 255. The JDM motor won't have an air pump or TGVs. So I go through, before I unplug everything, and put little red zip ties on all the stuff that's not going to be used. And then I cut off the plugs. I put shrink tube over them, and then, for example, like I would tape it back up into this harness so it's totally deleted. It kind of cleans up the engine bay, and it's a lot better than having all these random plugs that don't go to anything. And as long as you seal them up, make them watertight, it's not an issue. When this guy goes to get this tuned, the tuner will disable the TGV codes and the air pump codes, and then he'll be cruising. So I'm going to use the domestic manifold harness, obviously. We are going to put in a silicone inlet just because it's a good time to do one. And then we're going to use his dark blue top feeds. The JDM motor is a top feed injector engine as well. So we're going to use the JDM TGV deletes. So then he gets that little perk out of the motor. And then, you know, all new gaskets on everything. And I'll probably give the manifold a little cleanse for him. And then back on to the Japanese motor. And back to the domestic 255. It was leaking oil like everywhere, but that was the least of its issues because it won't have compression on, I think it was cylinder 2 was the bad one. But again, when this is from a WRX, and the Japanese motors commonly, when it's the 205 with single AVCS, they'll come from Forester. So you have to make sure that your water pipe is the same orientation. If it's not, you got to swap the water pipe. We usually swap them anyway, so at least we can do new O-rings down there. And then we also do swap all the sensors, NOx sensor. You'll end up having to change the PCV system as well to the Japanese motor. Theirs is a little different in orientation. Same with the crank sensor. Okay, so we're back and all our red dudes are deleted. All the wires are been individually shrink tubed to cap them, and then I taped them back into the harness so they look not visible. And then yeah, always on the underside because the electrical tape, just so it doesn't unravel, I put a zip tie pointing down, and at least it will stay covered up as long as that zip tie stays on there. So next mission now is get these old TGV assemblies out and slide in the JDM ones. Alrighty, so from the JDM motor I got the JDM TGV deletes out, just need a clean. Versus the domestic ones, the flaps are closed because it's off, but yeah, it really opens it up, getting the flap and the bar out, and gives you a whole bunch less check engine light possibilities. So this one's already been cleaned up and he's in, and then now there's no more plugs going to where they were, and probably make an easy horsepower out of this, no prob. Alrighty, so we hit a bit of a snag, and now we're doing some unique shit. Two different types of cam sensors. One's Hall and one's magnetic. And then reason we have to switch the intake camshafts is, see, these are prongs sticking out versus grooves in. So we're going to put the USDM intake cams into the JDM engine along with the USDM intake cam sensors, and fingers crossed it magically works. Having a good time. After we started opening these up, we're like, we probably should have just went and got another motor and then kept this motor as a stock for a more suitable car. But either or, it's worth giving it a try, and in theory it should work, but not ideal. So yeah, wouldn't totally recommend the metal intake manifold JDM 205 into a 32-bit ECU car, because they shouldn't really work together. Alright, so a bit of a recap on our motor here. we removed the cams from the other JDM motor and the USDM motor. And what I was worried about was how far away the passenger or driver side cam sensor was from the cam. And I didn't want to get into like shaving the bottom mount of the cam sensor to get it close enough. I also didn't want to throw the motor in and end up with an issue resulting in further extreme customization, just because I don't totally have time for that. So what I did was went and got another motor. So this one is normally a plastic manifold Ej205 single AVCS. And it does come from a 32-bit car, so it uses the same style cam sensors. Significantly more money than the, what I guess you'd call a version 7 205 that would have come from a 16-bit car. This is almost double the price. So these ones are air pump, so we put some block off plates on it. They do come with top feed dark blue injectors like the 2.5 WX and STI. And they also have the TGV delete, so there are some cool goodies on it. This guy's using a VF39 turbo on here. And other than that, it is relatively stock, other than an exhaust on this car, but he's gonna head to the dyno, which you should always do after a JDM motor install to get your fueling in check and maximize your efficiency and power. the dyno. Alright, so now that it has warmed up a bit, it's actually a super nice running engine, really quiet and smooth. You can imagine this probably sat for a year or more since it was last ran, from when it was sent to Japan, and then by the time you know, we went and bought it.
Well, here we are in the now Ej205 Hawkeye. So we're giving her one good little test drive, make sure everything's working like it should before it goes to Neutronics for the dyno tune.
And once we were done the engine, we did a smoke test to see if there was any leaks, because you want to get no leaks to get best bang for your buck on a dyno tune. We did find 2 leaks, so we fixed those, and she's solid now.
That sounds pretty good with my old cat back on it.
Yeah,
It sounds like my old car, or my car.
she drives nice.
You can't intimidate. That was an Astro all-wheel drive. Yeah, like you can't intimidate someone with one of those. They obviously don't care.
I hope it's loud enough for them. It's like I was expecting at least 3 times that volume.
It was too loud for me.
It's willing to work.
I'm curious to see what it does on the dyno. I mean, it's got the VF39 STI intercooler, catless 3-inch turbo back exhaust,
And then 565 injectors and TGV deletes. So we're kind of guessing maybe 250 wheel horse.
backing it in.
Yeah.
Fancy.
Makes it easier for him when he has to launch out of here.
Look at that Subaru.
What a beaut.
The back's not lowered, it's just always full of stuff. I'm showing the Saab, meanwhile there's a JDM Forester there.
We'll leave the window up and be like, hit the fucking window, bro.
That was another mod.
Hit that.
Working window.
Yeah. Okay. Alright, we're back with the JDM 205 swapped Hawkeye. We were doing some revisions on it before he hits the dyno. So he's going to do a 1320 equal length header. These are pretty sweet for the money. We've already started on some of the stuff. He wanted a cat in his exhaust, so we cut out a section of the downpipe, and I've already got into tacking in the cat. We're going to put the rear O2 sensor there. We're also going to add a wideband bung in the top of the downpipe. And the other thing between the time that he took the car and now, the used VF39 started smoking really bad. So we're going to put a new CHRA in it. And then I think he's off to the dyno for the end of the week. Alright, so here's the turbo off. This came from like an 06 STI with 120k on it. The wastegate crack is pretty typical. It's hard to see, but behind the wheel you can see a glimmer of oil. So that's oil blowing through the seal there, and you can see it's actually pooling up so much that it's dripping from between the housing and the cartridge. So that's what we're replacing. Alright, so here's the turbo all broken down. So this is the original cartridge. So you can see it's literally leaking oil out of the back. So these ones come pre-balanced, pre-assembled. They come with the rest of the crush washers and your oil drain gasket. And then as you go, it's always nice to kind of clean up your pieces before you put it back on. So I mean, this was the one, the oil leaked out through this seal. This isn't the seal, it's just the clamp that holds it together, but you can see like wet actual oil.
Alright, so as Jesse was fiddling around with boring stuff like turbos, I was doing the real hard work and I installed a nice set of Rally Armor mud flaps. Yeah. Look at that, Rally Armoire. Yeah. And because I also felt like I needed to do something instead of just put on mud flaps.
Yeah, show them how sweet this guy fits.
Now this is something we really recommend. I'm super happy with the fitment of 1320 performance headers because they fit.
Yeah, just went right on like OEM. Absolutely perfect. Super sweet looking header for the money.
Nice welds, like for the money, 1320 performance, you make good stuff.
Hell yeah.
I have their up pipe and actually just bought an identical header to put on my Hawkeye. Also, he had a catless 3-inch downpipe, so we catted it and threw on a couple extra bungs, one for the rear row 2 sensor because we had to cut the pipe out, and one for a wideband.
Alrighty, she's all back together, fresh turbo in there. We also ended up replacing he had a GD STI intercooler. So this one's from the next generation, so it's a GR like 08 plus STI. So quite a big difference in size compared to the STI one. So there they are, so you can see the extra length. So, you know, the cooler the better. But anyway, this thing is all done.